Today, we'll figure out what real innovations Apple has to offer. We'll discuss the main technologies, new processors, cameras, cooling systems, as well as how the iPhone managed to achieve amazing battery life and how Apple managed to count 8 cameras in the iPhone 17 Pro. Let's start with the cameras. First of all, everything has finally become simple and clear. All modules in the iPhone have a resolution of 48 megapixels. A new telephoto lens was added to the Pro version, and last year's wide-angle lens from the Pro has made its way to the base iPhone. But there's a catch. The main module is still different between the models. In the iPhone 17 and iPhone Air, it's 26mm with an aperture of 1.6 and a pixel size of 1 micrometer. But in the Pro and Pro Max, it's slightly wider at 24mm, the aperture is a bit smaller at 1.78, but the sensor is larger and the pixels are bigger, 1.22 micrometers. What does this mean? The iPhone 17 and Air will have slightly narrower frames, but they will distort perspective less. That's a plus, but the Pro version will have a bit less noise in low light. It was the same last year with the 16 and 16 Pro models, and the difference was minimal. So now, whichever iPhone you choose, you'll have good cameras. The only difference is in the number of cameras. The iPhone Air has 1 camera, the iPhone 17 has 2, and both the iPhone 17 and 17 Pro Max have 3 each. But then, why does Apple tell us that there's a second camera in the iPhone Air even though we don't see it? And for the 17 Pro, Apple actually counted 8 lenses. Simply put, that's called marketing. And officially, it's called the Fusion Camera Technology. Let me remind you what that is in case you've forgotten. Since the iPhone 15, Apple has been using a quad-pixel sensor. That's when 4 pixels are placed under one color filter. This approach provides greater flexibility in image processing. When you need sharpness, you can take a photo at the full 48 megapixel resolution, but color sensitivity will suffer. And if you want less noise and more light, you can combine 4 pixels into one and get a 12 megapixel image, but Apple takes it a step further. They take the best of both worlds. They render 2 images at once, one at 48 megapixels and one at 12 megapixels, and then combine them into something in between, a 24 megapixel photo with good detail and low noise. This, my friends, is the very Fusion camera, and if you also use the 2x cropped lens, you get the same double optical zoom as Apple calls it. The resolution is already 12 megapixels. That's how the Air got a virtual telephoto lens, and the 17 Pro got 8x zoom and 2x 12 megapixel cropped shooting. Even more importantly, the telephoto sensor has been increased by 56%. As a result of these changes, we get 8 focal lengths with optical quality. In short, the base iPhone is equipped with an improved wide-angle lens, while the Pro version comes with a telephoto lens. Additionally, the Pro models feature ProRes RAW recording, an updated Apple log, and support for GAN log. This is a video signal synchronization technology used in professional television and video studios. For example, it was used when filming clips on the iPhone for the movie 28 Years Later. It's an interesting feature, but obviously not for everyone. Apple has also added Open Gate support in Apple Final Cut Camera 2.0. The Open Gate feature allows you to shoot using the entire sensor, which is very useful for cropping later. Let's move on to the front camera. In my opinion, this is the most interesting and unexpected camera update. Now, the front camera is the same everywhere, 18 megapixels, and the sensor is 1.5 times larger. But most importantly, the sensor is now square, and it's fantastic. First of all, it's convenient. You no longer need to rotate your phone to switch between portrait and landscape modes. Second, it's smart. The camera automatically widens the frame if people aren't fitting in the shot. And third, as a bonus, we get improved video stabilization. Moreover, simultaneous recording with the front and rear cameras is now available. Many people really like this feature, and we can see it being tested. We're done with the cameras and moving on to the processors. At the Apple presentation, we were unexpectedly treated to 4 chips at once: the A19 and A19 Pro chipsets, the new C1X modem, and the completely unexpected N1 network chip. Let's start with the processors. We have 2 chips and 3 configurations. And to avoid confusion, let's just say where each one is used and how they differ. The regular Apple A19 is in the iPhone 17. It features 6 CPU cores, 5 GPU cores, and 8 GB of LPDDR5X RAM. But the A19 Pro comes in 2 versions. The iPhone Air is equipped with a cut-down GPU with 5 cores, while the 17 Pro and Pro Max have a full-fledged GPU with 6 cores. Both devices have 12 GB of LPDDR5X RAM. Otherwise, the processors are more or less the same. Both chips are manufactured using TSMC's 3rd generation 3nm and 3P technology, which, compared to the previous N3U, delivers the same 5 to 10% performance increase. In addition, it increases density by 4%. Yes, the A19 Pro has improved branch prediction mechanisms in the performance cores and increased bandwidth. And the energy-efficient cores received 50% more L3 cache. But as tests have shown, in practice, the iPhone 17 and iPhone 17 Air processors deliver almost identical performance, both in single-threaded and multi-threaded modes. The Pro and Pro Max, of course, are faster, but only by about 5 to 7%. But then, what's interesting about these chips? It's the graphics processor performance, which has increased by 40% compared to the previous generation. And by the way, look at how many points the iPhone 17 Pro Max scores, over 45,000 points. That's comparable to the MacBook Air with the M2 chip. That's impressive. But what's the reason for such growth? First of all, Apple updated the architecture itself. They updated dynamic caching, increased the speed of mathematical calculations, and improved the unified image compression system. All of this boosts memory performance and reduces latency. But the most interesting thing is that Apple has integrated neural accelerators into the GPU cores. What does that mean? Essentially, it's the equivalent of tensor cores in NVIDIA graphics cards. Let me remind you what that is. Tensor cores are specialized units designed to accelerate matrix computations. This means that instead of multiplying just one number at a time, entire arrays of numbers, matrices, are multiplied at once. This is extremely useful for speeding up neural network operations, deep learning tasks, or neural technologies like DLSS or MetalFX. But let's get back to the iPhone. The second secret to its performance is, of course, the body and the new cooling system in the iPhone 17 Pro and 17 Pro Max. Apple has returned to aluminum and abandoned titanium, which conducts heat much worse, and they've added a vapor chamber with ionized water. So now, heat is dissipated not only through the vapor chamber, but also throughout the entire body. The body itself is milled from a single piece of aluminum, which automatically gives it two advantages. Thanks to its solid construction, it's durable and reliable. And secondly, the body serves as an ideal heatsink. This is one of the most important changes in the Pro model. Now, with an improved processor and cooling, gaming should be very comfortable. But let's move on to the C1X and N1. According to Apple, the C1X is twice as fast as the C1, but 30% more energy efficient than the modem in the iPhone 16 Pro. As a result, according to Apple, the thin and powerful iPhone lasts an hour longer than the iPhone 16 and just as long as the iPhone 16 Pro. Although, of course, the credit here goes not only to the modem, but also to the main processor, the new LTPO display with a 120Hz refresh rate, and the new N1 chip. By the way, about the N1, it's an entire system that combines the latest wireless communication protocols, Wi-Fi 7, Bluetooth 6, and a smart home protocol. The N1 is installed across the entire lineup of new iPhones. But why? First of all, it's a chip with cutting-edge technology. For the first time, it provides full support for Wi-Fi 7 with a channel width of 320 MHz and speeds of 5 to 6 GB per second. It features Bluetooth 6, which offers reduced latency, better multi-threading for audio, and improved energy efficiency. Apple also added a protocol that allows the iPhone to interact directly with smart home devices, which is very convenient. But most importantly, N1 will boost AirDrop. In any case, it all sounds very promising. Thank you for liking and subscribing. See you in the next video.